Hi. So, I've been kind of dreading making this video because there's just like a lot I feel like I need to like get out. Um, a lot of things happened over the break. I actually tried to make this video last night, but I ended up just sorry, my phone, sitting in front of the computer going, like, I don't know what to do. But I just had a conversation with Martin that I feel like I've gotten some closure after what happened. More like I've realized I just need to fucking chill out. Um, so basically, what happened was I can't remember what was happening the last time I made a video. But we were standing in fields a lot. We were getting close a lot. And then okay, so the night before Martin and I left, I'm just going to tell you kind of like everything because even if like what happened the night before Martin and I left isn't incredibly relevant at this moment, I'm just going to tell you because this is my therapy session as well as me confessing to Silene, my dear love. So basically what happened was on Friday, Martin and I drove our friend Tom slash Jesus, who you know, and our friend Andrew Frolick to the airport, Rochester. And Martin came along with me as like a friendly support, like, whatever. So on the way back, we were like, oh, what are we going to do tonight? Like, now Tom is gone. And me, Tom, and Martin call ourselves like the tripod because the three of us hang out a lot, like just us. And we're in the field a lot together. Like, when it's not me and Martin, it's normally me, Martin, and Tom. So we were like, what are we going to do? And, obviously, like, Martin was about to come home with me for the weekend, so I made a point of being like, if you feel like you need to go and be with Alice for a little bit, like, that's fine. He was like, yeah, I don't know, I want to, like, hang out, I don't know what we're going to do, but he was like, yeah, I probably will have to go see Alice, whatever. So we get back to campus, and Martin had spent the past like 4 days working on some lab for his computer programming class that you have to go and like test it to make sure it's working. So as we were pulling into campus on St. Clair Street, we passed Gulick, which has the computer programming department in it, and he was like, oh, like I should probably go in there and just test my lab, but I won't be very long. So so I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine, whatever. And he was like, yeah, but I'll Facebook you as soon as I'm done or whatever. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I keep saying and whatever, which makes me feel ignorant. Anyway, so he gets out, he goes, he does it. I come back to my room. At this point is like probably like 7. So I come back to my room and I'm just sort of like chilling. Jackie texts me. Andrea texts me being like, oh, come to Jesse's Odell unit for a party, who I sort of know through Tom and Martin because Jesse is one of the only computer programming majors. You've probably seen Jessie before. You just don't know who she is. I mean, I really wouldn't know who she was. But anyway, she is in an Odell unit, and all of her roommates were gone. So she was like having a little party. So they kept texting me, and I'm sitting here being like, should I wait for Martin? Like, and earlier Martin and I had talked about how, because he knew that the party was happening because he knows Jesse, obviously, and he was like, I don't really want to go to the party if Andrea and Jackie are going to be there because he really doesn't like them. He finds them sort of obnoxious. And the worst thing about myself that I'm realizing is that I'm very easily manipulated by the people that are around me that I like. Like, I really enjoy spending time with Martin, and he'll be like, like, Andrea and Jackie are like so obnoxious to listen to. And the thing is, like, I completely agree. Like, you know how I feel about Jackie. I don't know if you know how I feel about Andrea. Sometimes I find myself just like being like, what the hell is she talking about? Like, one time we were sitting at the table and she was like, did you know that cucumbers or that pickles are pickled cucumbers? Or like, did you have a bite of that thing and it tasted weirdly like pickles? Like, she'll just like come, like, what the hell, Andrea? It's just like, it's sometimes just difficult to listen to her. And Jackie's kind of the same way. Like, she like listens to the top 50 music and that's about it, and it's kind of just draining hearing her talk about, like, how she's failing out of school, but then at the same time, she's not doing anything about it. You know, like, I felt like that for a long time. So, I agree with Martin. But then at the same time, like, they are still my friends, and I'm a little, like, two-faced, and I'm trying very hard to, like, correct that about myself. But anyway, so I was realizing that as I was sitting in my room on Friday night waiting for Martin, and it got to be, like, 9:30, and I was like, I'm just not going to sit here for the rest of my life, like, waiting for Martin. So I got up, and I got dressed, and I went out, and I stopped at my car because it had, like, cases of beer on the back. So I was, like, putting bottles of beer in a bag, and then I, like, set off across the parking lot, and Martin just jumps out of this car, and Alice jumps out after him. Sorry, my hamster just made a noise. Just jumps out after him. And so clearly what happened was he was down there. He somehow communicated with Alice. The two of them got together. Suddenly Martin's coming up to me in the middle of the parking lot where I'm, like, about to head off to go do this thing. And I'd, like, the saddest part was, like, I had figured that Martin was probably going to end up coming to the party if he found out that I was there. So I had purposely, like, grabbed more beers than I could drink. I had, like, 9 beers because I figured that Martin would have some. But then here suddenly I am realizing that, like, Martin is with Alice, and that's fine. And at the same time, like, I get it. She, like, I don't know if I told you this, but, like, the night before, maybe 2 nights before, excuse me, I just farted, she had communicated with him that she had, like, called him on the phone angsty. And then he had, like, a half an hour conversation with her about how she was jealous of me because they had been friends and, for so long, and now he and I had only been friends for X amount of time, like 4 weeks, and suddenly he's coming home, and so she was, like, telling him that she felt jealousy. And then he was like, oh, I need to go over and see Alice. And so he left for all this time to convince her that I wasn't a threat, blah, blah, blah. So I just have, like, a general irritation with Alice right now because I just find that to be, like, really sort of, like, girly and manipulative and, like, I don't know. Like, I wish I was a threat, but I'm not a threat. So then I was like, well, I'm going to go to Jesse's, and he was like, oh, I don't really want to go to Jesse's. I think, like, I'm really tired. I'm probably just going to stay in. And I was like, okay, that's fine, which really means he was going to go have sex with Alice, because she's right there, so obviously that's happening. So I went to the party. It was pretty much awful. I was only there for, like, an hour and a half before I left. I came back here. I went to bed. The next morning I woke up at 9:30 and went to go meet Martin. It turned out that Alice had slept over, which is fine. They've been together for 2.5 years, whatever. Apparently they didn't have sex, whatever. Like, I'm not, like, I am. I don't know. I'm just, I don't know. I feel weird. Anyway, so that happened. And then, so then that was, like, the official start of the trip. So we get down there. Things with my mom were a little bit, this is really obnoxious to me. Things with my mom were a little bit weird because we got down there, and if it had been anybody else, like, Martin and I are really, really close, like, we stood in these fields and we talked about how I felt about my mom and all of this, and, like, I had told him that I was nervous about going down there because I was nervous about seeing my mom, and, like, yes, I did have, like, nervous feelings about seeing my mom, but really it was the fact that, like, I was bringing Martin down. I didn't know how it was going to be, like, just my panic and stuff. I didn't know if I was going to be able to handle having Martin down there, so that's really what I was nervous about, but he translated that as, like, I was nervous to see my mom, and I sort of, like, let him think that because I didn't really want to get into the whole, like, I'm nervous about entertaining you thing. So I let it be. But then when we got down there, he sort of expressed that, like, he was really hungry. I was really hungry too. So I was like, all right, I texted my mom. I was like, all right, we're going to go out for dinner. So, like, don't wait up or whatever. Because we didn't get down until, like, an 8 o'clock boat or whatever. So I was like, okay. Martin and I go out to dinner. And we get drunk. And then we go to the seafood shanty, which is in Eggertown, so it's, like, right on the water. My grandma lives, like, right on the other side on Chappie, which, you're not gonna understand this. Anyway, so we go across the boat, the ferry, and we walk to the Chappaquiddick Beach Club, which is where I belong in the summer, and we take our shoes off and we go in the water and we're drunk and it's magical, and